Thank you, sir, for agreeing to see us at such a short notice. It's such a pleasure talking to you, also particularly because I've known you for several years. I have worked under you to, referred to as father of bancassurance in India. The kind of work that you have done in bancassurance, if you talk about the sheer volume of work that you would have done, perhaps would be the largest that anybody would have done across the globe, considering the size that India has. And then you ventured with your organization to the southeast, and you've done significant amount of work in the southeast as well. So, as a leader in bancassurance and also particularly in insurance, you've headed a very large organization in life insurance here in India, MetLife, and you were instrumental in taking that organization to the next level. It was already a big organization, but you established that organization within India. In insurance, I wanted to understand from you, what do you see the prospects of insurance as such? And what do you see are the opportunities that, say, for instance, a larger investor, if they're looking to invest, what are the kind of pockets of opportunity that you see in this insurance industry?
Insurance, is a very broader subject. It's a very old industry that has evolved differently in different economies across the world. And as you know, it opened up in India in 1999, and since then there have been more than 50 players that have come in life, general, and health insurance. Just to use a broad word, insurance may not be right. I think it will be good for us to look at in the perspective of life insurance, general insurance, health insurance. And when we say general in India, it means outside the country, PNC is what they call it. So I would say that I think all of these types of insurance has really grown in India, and we have close to 20 plus multinationals, larger of the large companies in the world, who are here from all the continents. These American companies, European companies, Japanese companies. So not only has penetration increased, it's also the per capita spend on insurance that has increased. So I would say that compared to developed markets, we are still underpenetrated. Our per capita spend on insurance is still low, which poses a huge opportunity for many other players who want to be in the country. Now, coming specifically to, you talked about bancassurance. Bancassurance is something that has done very well in India, and that is traditionally because we have a very large and a very profitable banking segment, which covers the length and breadth of the country. And when we look at bancassurance, it's very different in American markets, where you have to deal with a third party, or you have to deal with a broker who would actually be a financial advisor to the customer, and then he generates that customer's lead or interest and then sources the product from the manufacturers. Whereas in Asian markets, we call bancassurance as more of a retail bancassurance, wherein the retail customers have been sold insurance from the bank branches traditionally, and that has done very well. So bancassurance has different forms. It's worked through JVs in certain markets. It's working through distribution agreements, and we have all the models in India, as you have seen. So it's been a great journey being a part of the industry before it really opened up, and then being a part of a project with Old Mutual that I did, and I was the first employee of Old Mutual in India, and then becoming first 5 with Aviva, and then building that company up. And then finally coming to MetLife and spending 7.5 years as country manager, where it was transformation. So I think over the last 15 years, one has seen the industry really flourish, and I would expect that is something which will continue for the next about 5 to 10 years.
And what are the opportunities that you see apart from India? What are the other pockets of opportunities you think is something that global investors should look at, or you feel that it's at a certain stage that it is at an inflection point where it would be a great idea to enter such markets?
I would say that we have done a great job in terms of spreading the message of insurance, but we have not done enough in the area of pensions. Pensions and health are two areas that I see wherein lot more needs to be done in the country. So let me first talk about pensions. Pension is close to about 30,000 crore market, which is about $5 billion. So that's a market which is growing. We have a regulatory authority in the name of Pension Funds Regulatory Authority of India, the PFRDA. Now, what they've come out with is accumulation of pensions. So moving it from a direct a defined benefit to a defined contribution, primarily for the government servants, and now opening it up to organized sector as well. But I think over a period of time, as more and more people start saving for their pensions, the need that will really emerge would be decumulation, would be in the form of annuities. Now that is something that market really needs to grow in this country. And for that market to grow, what is important is to have long-term debt market, because the annuity companies or insurance companies that sell annuity would like to match the assets with liabilities, and that actually helps the government to really fund infrastructure through those long-term debt securities. But we don't have a very good market for those. We can't trade those long-term securities very, very quickly. So if there is I heard in one of the budget speeches by a finance minister that there is a fund getting created to create a long-term debt market. But as that gets created, that will provide the assets against the liabilities, which will be sourced by the pension companies or by the insurance companies in the form of annuities that they sell to the customers that gives them monthly income plans. So I would say that this monthly income provision through decumulation, through what we call internationally as annuities, is the biggest opportunity that we are sitting on right now in this country. And it helps the retirees, it helps the government, it helps the agents, it creates employment, it provides us some much needed infrastructure flows in the country, and it makes our debt market very robust.
I think wonderful insights there, sir. I'll veer back to bancassurance. Is been something that is very close to my heart, and also the kind of work that you've done in bancassurance. If I don't spend more time on bancassurance, I think this interview would not be complete. I just wanted to understand from you, sir, what has actually made you, because if I look at the time that you were in the insurance industry in India, you completely dominated the bancassurance industry. So what made you click? What did you do that made such a huge difference, and what some of the other players could not do? So what was your secret of success in bancassurance, sir?
As some would say that you were at the right place at the right time, there would be others who would say that you had a design and you really wanted to work on the design. I would say that the first time I was talked about this topic, it interested me. And what I could foresee was that if one worked on this topic of bancassurance and one really understood this, there was a huge opportunity in the country. And that came in from a realization of working on the ground, where I have done sales on my own on the ground. And I understood that if in a small city, if there is an individual who needs financial advice, who does he go to? He goes to his bank. So there's a lot of trust that is there in the bank manager or in that bank brand that actually in a way infuses confidence into a bank customer for buying any product. And if insurance was a product offered by the bank, then obviously there was a huge market waiting for us to be tapped. Well, it was easier said than done, because as you've seen, and we worked together and seen that it's not easy convincing banks. But then there are external factors, regulations, for example. They facilitated opening of bancassurance in the country. Then as you start working on it, you also learn from models that are there outside the country. And then there are demographics within the country which enable, because demographics and economic factors like if banks' income is going down and they too need third-party income, or they've got huge liabilities sitting in their retail banks, and they would like to reduce those liabilities, they would want to sell third-party products and reduce their balances. So I think it's a combination of factors actually that worked, and as they say, success breeds success. And I would say my favorite statement that if someone has done something to achieve in life, it's not by chance. I think there are a lot of factors that come together. So I would say that I benefited in terms of getting the advantage of all those factors.
Brilliant. But I think you're definitely underplaying the role that you played. I mean, while you were attributing to a lot of other factors, I think there was something, that charm, that X factor that you brought in, that meant that a lot of the larger deals actually went to the banks, the insurance companies that you were working for. So what translated your business development success? I mean, client acquisition is also extremely critical in this bancassurance sphere. So what was your success factor? I mean, how did it happen that most of the bigger deals actually ended in your kitty? So what was that business development mantra that you had?
Having done close to between 40 to 50 deals within the country, and having also done these deals or been a part of these deals outside the country, um, I would say that the direct involvement or direct success that came in within the country has been with a multiple factors. I think uh, you need to plan your success very well, and if you do not plan your success, you don't become successful. Which means that from writing the rules of the game to at least influencing the rules of the game, understanding them very well as to what they are, and then keeping the field open to everybody to play that game, yet seeking an advantage from the rules that you have laid down, then yourself fitting into those rules and making sure that you compete with others and run the same 100-meter race, but also building up your own endurance to run faster than them gets you to win that 100-meter race. But there has to be a ground that has to be available to everybody to run. There has to be the same rules for everybody, and then you need to have endurance, and I think that endurance comes with a lot of preparation, which is what I said, and it's the preparation and perseverance that gets you to that level.
I also, you've been a transformation leader. I mean, you've been part of companies which were hitherto to you coming into those companies were not doing so significantly well, or not didn't have the kind of market share that you helped them corner post your joining them. And also you built very large teams. There were certain instances where you started off companies. I mean, you were part of the inception teams in certain companies. Started off with very small teams, and you managed to build very large businesses and create a team, very large, very strong team under you. And I've also, seen that several of the people who worked under you, they have done significantly well. So, what is the advice that you would want to give to young leaders who are looking to build businesses or build teams? What are the things that they should look at?
So, like I was mentioning, people are key to everything that you do, and you have to first look at as to how are you going to define the profile of a person, and rather than looking at the person, you have to define the job description, and within the job description, you have to see what is the role that you expect a person to play, and how does one really fit into the team and the structure that you have laid down. So once you have the job description in place, then you have to find the right individual. So I think that's about the quantitative aspects of it, but I think qualitative aspects matter a lot as well. People who can play as team, people who can work as a team, and people realize that they don't know everything, but they have to learn from each other, and they're willing to work with each other to be successful. So I think you have to go through that normal process of forming a team, making them norming, and then making them, they start performing, and then ultimately, you get them to storm with each other, and I think that healthy competition is very good between the teams. So I think you need to find the right kind of people, put them into right kind of jobs, and then build a team, and then get them to a common goal that they all see. And I think people being people, they need to see their own success in what they do. So you have to make people successful before you can make the organization successful. So when people see their own success, organization automatically becomes successful.
Great. One last question. Any word of advice for young people who are starting off their careers, who are just entering the corporate world?
Yeah, I mean, there are various things one can talk about in that, but my advice is there is no substitute to hard work and perseverance. There is no substitute to it. You might have been through a great institute, you would have learned, you've probably gone to the best business school, but if you are unwilling to really work hard and persevere and find a goal for yourself, it's very difficult to succeed. When I remember something that someone asked me when I was passing out of my management school and said, "What are you going to do when you are 40?" And I said, "I will become managing director of a company." And everybody laughed at me. And I said that, I will be an MD of a company before 40. And then someone asked me, "What if you did not become one?" And I told him, "I'll print a card and write managing director on it." So I think your goals need to be very clear. You need to work towards those goals. And once you define those goals for yourself, you need to get your mind and heart correlated to get the energy and to persevere and to hard work and to create what you really want to create and what you want to become.
Thanks a lot, sir. It's been great talking to you, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.